Need some help to solve a weather-related problem for my son with ASD. I am not the OOP. OOP is you, Hari Selden, 1517. Need some help to solve a weather-related problem for my son with ASD. Originally posted to our weather. The first 3 posts were originally posted to our Best of Positive Updates here. Previous BORU. Original post July 30th, 2023. So I have a 5-year-old son with ASD. And he is heavily fixated with the rain animation that shows on the iPad weather app. Keep in mind it had to be rain, not drizzle. He doesn't understand yet the connection between the weather app and the real world. He gets very upset when he can't get it to rain in the app. And I have to check the weather map to figure out where it's raining right now and set the app to that place. But it's very cumbersome to keep doing it constantly. I figured if I could somehow strategically curate a list of cities that when combined it would almost always be raining in at least one of them, and I add them to the app, he could easily switch between them without my help. Any ideas of what cities I could combine to achieve this? Or would it have to be an extremely large list of cities? Update the 1st of August 9, 2023. A few days ago I posted regarding my son who has autism and wanted to have rain all the time on the weather app on his iPad. I asked some help on figuring out cities to have so that he always has some rain, and not just drizzle, available, and got some good replies. I wanted to let you know that since then he has developed an interest in all kinds of weather. He keeps asking me for rain, drizzle, snow, thunderstorm, cloudy, windy, etc. Sometimes he adds the word moon before the weather he wants. So that means he wants to see the weather at night. For example, moon snow, moon rain, etc. The only exception to this is for clear weather, in which case he says sunny for clear daytime weather and clear for clear nighttime weather. Since it's quite unpredictable what weather he will want at any given point, I just keep adding places that match what he is asking at the moment. The most tricky weather patterns so far are thunderstorm. The precipitation map only shows where precipitation is high or low, so finding thunderstorms can be tricky. Specific levels of cloudiness, rain. He sometimes asks me for partly cloudy or mostly cloudy, heavy rain, or other specific levels of these. It's just trial and error until I find what he wants. Drizzle. The precipitation maps aren't very precise, so areas with low precipitation sometimes have rain, making the drizzle difficult to find. Snow. As it's currently summer in the northern hemisphere, and the southern hemisphere doesn't have as many snowy areas as the north during winter, I often end up selecting points in the middle of the southern seas with high precipitation to find some snow. It's fun getting to see the weather patterns all over the world, but it can be tiresome, especially when I'm trying to focus on a task or something and he keeps changing what he wants to see. I just hope that by observing how I do it, he will eventually figure out how to find the weather he wants by himself. Update the 2nd of August 12, 2023. I just thought you would find this cute. His obsession with the weather has now translated from the iPad app to the real world. Today as we were in the car, and his tablet at home, he started to tell me, "Dad, it's mostly cloudy. Dad, I want the moon snow." I explained to him as best as I could, with age-appropriate words, that we cannot switch the weather in real life like we do in the app, by switching places, and that day and night happen on a regular time frame that cannot be changed. He didn't get upset, so hopefully he understood. But due to his limited communication, I can't know for sure. Right now there's a thunderstorm going on in our town, and he started jumping with excitement on the couch saying, "Mom, Dad, there's a thunderstorm." Quote, "Now I cannot wait to see how he reacts when we get the first snow of the year in a few months." Update the 3rd of August 18, 2023. As some of you suggested in a previous post, I got him a multiband radio that can tune in to the NOAA broadcasts. He didn't seem to care much for it. It seems that his obsession for the weather is more visual than anything. In fact, he just recently told me, "I want thunderstorm video," which basically meant that he wanted to see a real thunderstorm on YouTube instead of the animated thunderstorms that the iPad weather app shows. He seems really interested in flashy weather like storms, snow, blizzards, etc., but the monotonous audio of the weather station did not catch his interest. Now on to his 8-year-old sister. She also has ASD and limited speech. She likes to copy everything her little brother does. So she started using the weather app too. She is not as invested in it as him yet, so she doesn't spend as much time on it. But when she does, she always looks for sunny weather. She does not seem to be very interested in storms like her brother. In fact, the other day she was upset because she couldn't remove the cloudy weather from her app. Basically she couldn't because that was the current location and it is always there. The only way to remove it was to deny the location permission to the weather app. The real-life weather also started to affect her. Since last week, every time it gets cloudy she gets upset and starts telling me, "Where is the sun?" Quote, "I lost my sun," or, "I want the sun." I keep explaining to her that the sun is behind the clouds and that she will see it as soon as the clouds clear. So while the little boy seems to be obsessed with weather and especially flashy storms, his older sister prefers the tranquility of sunny days. Hashtag NEW updates. Update the 4th of September 4, 2023. As the little guy's interest in weather keeps increasing, he started to combine weather words that do not come together in the weather app. He has asked me for heavy drizzle. I had to explain that's just rain. Or heavy blizzard. I had to explain that a blizzard is already heavy snow combined with strong winds. He seemed to take that well. He did not get upset over it. He started to connect the weather to other things in life. For example, the other day he started to say very excited while in the shower, "Look, heavy rain." Quote. He has also amped up the difficulty on finding the weather he wants. As he is now capable of reading all the weather words, I cannot trick him with weather that looks similar. So for example, he asks for fog. I need to find fog. If I show him haze, which is much easier to find since there is quite often haze in Antarctica, instead, he will complain. In addition, he now doesn't ask just for a weather pattern plus sun, meaning day, or weather pattern plus moon, meaning night. He started to ask for pink, sunset, and purple, dusk. So now he asks me for things like mostly cloudy pink. It is difficult to find that in the iPad weather app, since sometimes when going eastward to find a place where the sun is setting, it jumps directly from day to night, or from night to day if I'm going westward, and it's difficult to find the in-between. But once I do, I just have to stay within the same approximate longitude to find all the weather patterns he wants. Cloudy, clear, mostly cloudy, etc. I just wish there was a way to tell the iPad weather app the weather I'm looking for and then get a location that has that combination, instead of doing the reverse and having to go around the world finding what he wants. That would allow him to get everything he wants by himself, instead of relying on me and my very rudimentary knowledge of geography and weather patterns. Someone suggested in a previous post a kids app that lets him control the weather and show the exact weather he wants, while the app gives in kid-friendly language some explanations about the weather. He loves that app and plays with it quite often. But since the iPad weather app shows more stuff in more detail and is less cartoony, he tends to spend more time in the iPad weather app. Having both is still great, since the other app at least gives me some respite when he decides to use it, and it's also fun for him. But I still need to figure out a more efficient ways of finding certain weather patterns, like fog and blizzard. Those two are always quite difficult to find. There are some patterns that haven't come up yet, but at some point he will see them and start asking about freezing rain, sleet, hail, and others that haven't come up yet because it's still summer in the northern hemisphere. Once he sees those, this game of getting him the weather he wants is going to become insanely difficult. Update the 5th of September 23, 2023. Yesterday at dusk the little guy got very excited. There were some cirrus clouds in front of the moon, and started shouting, "Look Mom, Dad, Moon Haze," and started jumping up and down. He probably thought that it was haze because the cirrus clouds looked similar to what haze looks like in the weather app. I was not able to figure out a good way of explaining to him verbally what haze is, so I showed him a YouTube video that explains the difference between haze, fog and mist, and learned it myself in the process. He didn't pay much attention. My only hope is that now that winter is approaching, we will eventually get a couple of foggy days in our area, and then he will understand what fog really is. In the process maybe I will be able to explain haze too, even if its composition is completely different, since it's visually similar. Update the 6th of October 21, 2023. We traveled out of the country for a few weeks, and we stayed with my mother. I know he took a liking to his grandma. Mind you that he doesn't say, "I love you," not even to his mommy and daddy, but he is very caring in other ways. The way he showed love to his grandma is by going specifically to her room, looking out the window and then saying, "Hey look, Grandma, it's sunny, cloudy, raining." Quote, we also got the chance to see a partial eclipse there. I gave him an old ultrasound, same material as an X-ray, so that he could look at it. He got very excited but kept calling it a crescent moon. It took me about 10 minutes to get him to say the word eclipse, and just as he said it he got bored and wanted to go back inside. And finally, yesterday, now back home, we were watching The Little Mermaid live action. He didn't care much about the movie but got very excited by the storm that sank Eric's ship. As the scene where Ariel sings to Eric after saving him began, he got sad and said, "What happened to my storm?" Quote, just thought you would like these little updates. This is a repost sub IAM, not the OOP. As he is now capable of reading all the weather words, I cannot trick him with weather that looks similar. What an exceptionally delightful sentence, smiling face with hearts. For example, the other day he started to say very excited while in the shower, "Look, heavy rain." Quote, young dude is having preciously innocent, yet more valid imagination. As someone who grew up in Seattle, I can confirm that heavy drizzle does exist. Edit. My dear, slightly soggy people, it delights me to see that heavy drizzle is a known weather condition across the world. I'd also like to suggest misting hard, when it's those tiny droplets that stick to everything but coming down aggressively enough to feel really unpleasant hitting your face. I remember seeing the original posts and didn't know there were updates. This whole post just makes me smile. What a cute story. For heavy blizzard, I immediately thought of a squall. I've been in blizzards, driven in blizzards. A squall is a whole different beast, zero visibility very quickly. I got the notification on my phone that one was coming my way. I stood by the window and I could see my visibility shrinking. It got to a point where I couldn't even see the tree a few feet in front of me. So yay. Heavy blizzard equals squall. Somebody please make an app to help this guy out. What a great dad. Though. For real. Commitment to understanding his kids and helping them understand the world. That's love. Op is gonna be a meteorologist by the time her son is a teenager. I wonder if Oop could record the screen for the different weather conditions and show his son how to access them in the gallery. Trying to chase weather around the world for something so specific sounds very time-consuming. This is so wholesome. I'm glad my parents indulged my own weather obsession when I was a kid. And I've continued the armchair meteorology into adulthood. My mom got me a book when I was 9 that taught me all the Latin names for clouds. And my dad helped me build this crazy swinging stick to measure the wet bulb temperature. It's fun to see how this works for iPad kids now with the instant gratification and beautiful animations. His love language with grandma smiling face holding back tears. This is very wholesome and I love how much Oop wants to indulge and please his child by honoring his interests. All. ND. Kids need parents like this. In fact, I work with autistic and disabled adults and indulging their interested is my favorite. That's awesome that tech is helping this parent connect with their child in a very unique way. I hope they find an app that lets the kid find realistic depictions of whatever weather patterns he wants at any given time. And fantastic that the kid is learning so much and having such a good time with the weather. Maybe he'll be a climate scientist or meteorologist as an adult. Heavy blizzard? 2 words, thunder, snow. I love the fact that Oop gets so excited every time his son learns something new about weather. It makes my heart smile. How has he not shown his kid Cloudy with a chance of meatballs yet? I actually realize this could be an incredibly terrible idea to try and then explain the lack of meatball rain in real life. As someone who works very closely with ASD kiddos and their families in a therapy field, this BORU absolutely just tickled me. So wholesome. That lil guy has such a loving and supportive family, helping him to explore his interests in such an educational and immersive way. I hope Oop sees this. Just a few more ideas, but I know she probably has thousands already. There was a video game that I played as a kid about a cartoon bird who taught you what the clouds and weather patterns were. It was called Mango Plumo Weather Adventure. It was fun. I don't know if there's something similar today because this was like 2000 CD-ROM game. There's also some virtual classes like on Virtual Science Teachers that make you click on the right answer and use real pictures. Scholastic made this list of science apps that expand on what he already knows. Some tangential apps that could spark interest but maybe aren't 100% the same. Google Arts and Culture lets you explore art and art history, and there's a bunch of games you can even see pictures in augmented reality. The History of Everything is an app that shows a timeline of world history and lets you scroll through. NASA has a series of apps that show videos and crazy pictures. They have a space weather app. The Globe Observer looks pretty cool. And the Visualization Explorer also has cool pictures. Perhaps a local museum has an app for you to explore? Especially ones that show a lot of photography? Other ideas: a lot of schools and universities have science camps for kids. Or maybe a local earth sciences teacher might have some resources for interactive activities. If kid likes making, Mr. Maker has some weather crafts. There's also some science experiments I remember from when I was a kid on making tornadoes in a soda bottle, or snow in a jar. There's some science experiment books that walk you through it that could be fun. Didn't think a BORU could have me smiling wider with each update, but here we are. Fabulous find. You, Direct Caterpillar 77. I know Microsoft Flight Sim will let you use real-world weather or also choose your own for wherever you fly. Wonder if there are any other games, apps that would let the kids play with the weather however they want. Lovely parents, but this post has cemented just how much I don't want kids.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.